Mic check 1 2. You have His Lordship in the building. Shout out to Observer for being the first in the building, and shout out to Maribel Hernandez for being the second in the building. We're going to talk about the laws of marketing and maybe a few other topics. But that movie, that documentary, Don't Fuck with Cats, that shit is crazy. You gotta see it. It is off the chain. You know, it's funny. There's a YouTuber asking for everyone's name and address. And because that YouTuber doesn't watch other people's videos because that person is a narcissist, that person would have known that everybody gave that YouTuber their name and address a long time ago. And one of the people that gave that YouTuber their name and address, you know, things happened to them just like things happened to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, a long time ago, the YouTuber that's asking for people's names and address because they want to take them to court or something. There was a YouTuber that gave her, you know, they announced their own home and address, and the next thing you know, they had a brick through their window, all kind of stuff, because they made the same mistake as the YouTuber requesting the information. Everybody gave their name and address. Other YouTubers' personal phone numbers have been public, stuff like that. So now this person is saying, email me. This is how lazy this YouTuber is. Email me your stuff so I can do something to you. You know what I'm saying? Give me your address so I can rob you, or I can take you to court, or I can harass and stalk you like I stalked other people. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's asking for my name and address and number, but they already showed that they are irresponsible with information, like, I wouldn't even trust that person to donate because they keep doxing themselves and other people. She just doxed herself again. It's weird. The first thing you did was show ex-boyfriend's pictures on the internet, on the World Wide Web. You think they knew that you did that? The first thing you did was, because you didn't have no content and nothing to talk about outside of Nature Boy, so you showed your family members, your exes. What if they had enemies or warrants or anything? Then you was mad at your boyfriend, your ex-boyfriend, for not answering the phone, so you let his phone number play across the screen. You let the number be announced from the phone. So why would anybody with any ounce of intelligence trust you with their personal snail mail address or phone number or email? You showed some fake lawyer was trying to help you. You showed his email. You showed your donors' emails. You showed all your emails because you got so many channels. You got all these emails for all these channels you have. You showed your own bank account. You showed all kind of shit. Ain't nobody gonna trust you with their email and home address. But if you wasn't such a narcissist, there were already videos made where people gave you their name and address because they don't care if you go to the authorities. Nobody believes that you have any ounce of sanity, so nobody's worried about. They only worried about you stalking them. They're not worried about the authorities. You the one that don't know the law. You the one that have the mind of a 9-year-old. Nobody's worried about you. Who is that? We're talking about the Bonnet, Lavanya, Uncle Fester. And that ain't what this show is about. Today is about the laws of marketing. And if that narcissist, psychopath, witch hunt stalker were to watch the videos about herself, she would have saved herself a whole lot of trouble. Now, she did our job. I was going to go to YouTube because YouTube is down the street practically. YouTube ain't but about 30 minutes from here. And but because I saw her live send everybody video to YouTube, I saw her send Auntie Miracle B and stuff like that. She did my work for me. I don't have to go to YouTube. She sent the other YouTubers' videos to YouTube, and in her mind, she thinks that they're bullying and stalking her. But when the people at YouTube watch the videos because she never watched them, they're gonna see that something's wrong with her. You see what I'm saying? She didn't see that. She'll watch the video for a second or not watch it at all. And then she say, oh, nah, this is, she just get mad and click on something else. But if she would watch the video from beginning to end, she would see that it explains how crazy and dangerous and rude and disrespectful she is. You think they're going to listen to someone that went live for 10 hours not talking about shit? That's talking to themselves and imaginary people. Then you're going to say something disrespectful, but show somebody else saying something disrespectful and say, well, I'm not as disrespectful as that person, so, and you're no better than me. Look how disrespectful this person is. So whatever I said should be overlooked. 9-year-old mentality. You let your boyfriend phone number play out of spite on the World Wide Web. That was a violation of his privacy. You showed your family members pictures on your Facebook, including your ex-boyfriends. That was a violation of their privacy. You even posted pictures of you and your ex-boyfriends on your Instagram. That's a violation of their privacy. You worried about somebody mentioning your son's name. If you say somebody's son's name, in your mind, that's disrespectful. Just the mention of his name, even though you put him on camera and let him talk to a complete stranger online. And then when that person mentions his name, somehow that's disrespectful. But showing somebody's naked baby, not one picture, but 4 or 5 pictures of a naked baby of a stranger that you do not know, which you organized a witch hunt against, and took credit for his arrest, and he was never charged with anything. So you made him look more innocent now than he did then. People really believed he was guilty, but because of your stupid shit, now he really does look like Jesus Christ walking around this motherfucker. So, you want to talk about evidence? I live in Silicon Valley country. You know where Silicon Valley country is? Right next to God's country. All you got to do is catch Bart. All right? And hello, everyone in the building. I came to talk about the 22 immutable laws of marketing today. Violate them at your own risk. I didn't come to talk about this fool, but my people sent me a screenshot and an audio clip. So I had to check it out. So, and then I heard my name mentioned. So therefore, since this is a video website and we communicate through videos, this is my response video. I've already got somebody. See, YouTube hire contract workers. There's no employees of YouTube. They're all contract workers. So somebody at YouTube is watching my show live today. You see what I'm saying? And after this Corona shit blow over, I'm going to start having lunch at YouTube because they have an open cafeteria. Okay? Because YouTube is accessible. They don't have no fortress with armed guards around it. YouTube had one shooting by a crazy YouTuber like Labanya. They cut her services and stuff like that, so she wasn't able to make money. So she went, this was a lady, a foreigner. She went to YouTube and let loose on everybody with a gun. So now you gotta pass through security to get into YouTube, but you can still go inside YouTube and hang out. But they don't have a whole bunch of employees on the payroll with healthcare and all that. They contract 90% of the work out. Okay? YouTube got like 20 lawyers. So if you're gonna put one lawyer on retainer for 10 grand to fight 20 lawyers, go ahead. There is 250 million copyright violations on YouTube for music and stuff like that. Not one lawsuit yet. See, you cannot make people afraid that know the game, that know rules and laws and regulations. If someone know how to read and comprehend, and another person doesn't know how to read and comprehend, then you have the upper hand and you can always relax. What's up? Nikki, Sarquette, Grown Folks, Paradox, Patty Paradox, Blue Rays, everybody in the background. Yeah, you act like you the only one. You know, she said somebody erased their videos. Nah, nobody videos are erased. They're on whatever it's called, unlisted, and the links have already been sent to YouTube. I could give you a name. See, she's so dumb that she don't know that the when you send an email to YouTube, it's a computerized response. It's not a human response. Maybe she knows that, but she's playing stupid. When you send messages to YouTube or Google or Apple or whatever the fuck, it's a computerized response. It's artificial intelligence. It's not a human being. I have a name at most of these places. I know I could give you one name at Apple. I could give you one name at YouTube. I could give you one name at Twitter. I could give you one name at Pandora. I can I could walk to the corner and damn near throw a rock at Pandora. That would be a pretty bionic throw. That would be like the bionic black man, but for the sake of argument, I could throw a rock halfway to Pandora. I could definitely fly my drone to Pandora from where I stand. Indeed, sadly, with all this true knowledge you're sharing, her her type will get up and lie about lawyers. Yeah, look. You want to put a lawyer? Look. A couple of these. I know these twins, right? They're Russian. They got in trouble because their friend got into a fight with someone, and they jumped in. One of the twins have a black belt also, and they're teenagers, right? So they claim to be innocent, right? And what happened was the guy who started the fight, which was their friend, took the guy's phone or something, but they had nothing to do with it. So the twin Russians had to go to juvenile court, and because they're brothers, they couldn't have the same lawyer, so their parents had to put two lawyers on retainer. That's 20 grand just to keep their sons out of trouble. So what I'm saying is, um, if you want to waste 10 grand to put a lawyer on retainer for a frivolous lawsuit, and you're gonna fight YouTube's 12 to 20 lawyers, go right ahead. But the people that work for YouTube and contract with YouTube, these are people that graduated from Stanford, UC Berkeley, Mills College, St. Mary's. Um, shall I go on? You know what I'm saying? These are very smart people, and what you doing and complaining about on YouTube, it's been done already. This is old hat. This is an old routine. I'm a victim. I'm starved. And you said that we erasing videos because we're afraid of you. You erase videos. Your channel gets flagged, not mine. Your channel gets flagged because you actually commit the violations. You actually slander people. Nobody's slandering you because we just play your audio. I purposely knew that this day was coming, so I said I'm gonna let your videos speak for you. So you tell on yourself. Hey, grandma in the building. Yeah, these people graduated from you know, UC Davis, UC Berkeley, San Francisco State. You know what I'm saying? UFC. uh, University of San Jose. You know, you're from Fayetteville, not to diss anyone in Fayetteville, but education ranks 32 in Fayetteville in the nation. It ranks 32. Now, I will say Fayetteville, they have some great colleges down there, but K through 12 needs some help. And there's your representative right there, Labanya. That's your proof right there. That don't know what cursory means. Don't know the difference between arrest and detainment. You erased incriminating videos. And if somebody, whether they on IG or whatever, if somebody posts a picture and makes a statement, they're not trying to hide. It's public. There's no such thing as going behind someone's back when you posting something publicly. There's nothing secret about posting something public. When you say something in the chat room, you already assume everybody and their mama can see what you're saying. So when you say something, you want somebody to see it. You're not hiding when you chat in a chat room or when you post something. When you make a video or when you go live, that's not hiding. When you speak on a public channel, that's not behind anyone's back. You're announcing what you're saying to the whole wide world. That's why it's called the World Wide Web. Now, if you want to act a fool and have a sailor's lingo, you want to have a dirty mouth, you want to have a vulgar mouth, you want to show your immaturity, your vulgarity, that's on you. That's going to be online for the rest of your life. Computers have a thing called a cache. I think it's spelled CACHE, cache. So even when you delete a video or whatever, the video will still be in the cache for a very long time before it deletes from the cache. So you can go recover that video. It's only going to have a time and a date on it. It won't have a name. But you could just say, let me look at all the MP4s or MOVs or AIVs or whatever. One of those videos is going to be the video that you may have downloaded or watched. You don't even have to download it. You could just have watched it. It's in your cache. And it could be recovered. Matter of fact, as a matter of fact, people speak so easily about what somebody's going to do for them or help them do. The cops, they're going to do this. The feds is going to do this. YouTube is going to work with me. IG is going to work with me. You're a nobody. But I would like to thank you for helping me teach others what not to do. Do not put your business online. Hold on, y'all. Period. Start deleting pictures off your Facebook and IG. Take your babies and stuff off the internet because you're just giving crazy people access. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. That's my Sade remix, "Stronger Than Pride." I think that came out in I think it came back. I think that came out in the '80s. Let me see what y'all saying, and then we're gonna get into the 22 immutable laws of marketing briefly. I'm not gonna bore you guys with a bunch of talk. I'm gonna keep it fun. All right. Right. I do not post. I should have had my notepad. Right. I do not post my sons at all. I did not. I didn't know that much. Labanya is bitter, middle aged. It needs counseling. Grandma, she kept calling my name and saying I'm going to jail. So I gave her some candy and attention. Now she mad. Uh, Indeed, she'll be ranting all night, yelling my name after her nap. I'm still can't say that cachet word in confidence. And yeah, cachet. Look, cachets are very, very dangerous because if you looking at something you ain't supposed to be looking at, and your computer gets taken for evidence, anything that you ever watched is in your cache, but it do delete after a certain amount of time. You know what I'm saying? If you made a snuff video or whatever, and look, also, you don't have. I'm gonna say one more thing about this stupid crap. You don't have to secretly record someone because if you ain't broke, you have a premium membership of YouTube, and all you got to do is click download because the video belongs to YouTube. It's a video website. You make videos, you communicate with videos, you respond with videos, you make announcements with videos, you show content with videos, you show stories, you flip out on people, you make propaganda because it's a video website. You don't leave a video website to privately send somebody a message with another company and then come back to YouTube and expect everything to be cool. You communicate all on the same medium that you met and participated on. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, is people are nuts. Secretly screen recording. You don't have to secretly screen record anybody. You just click right underneath the video. It says it gives you the option to download or add it to your playlist or to watch later. So when they see that you erased a million videos and what the contents of those videos were, you know, showing children nude, making statements about the child may have HIV or the child may have this and the mother breastfeeding and oh my God, you really want to go to YouTube? I'm about 5 seconds from going to YouTube. But since you were so dumb to send the videos yourself without watching them, you did your job. You did everyone's job for them. You send videos to YouTube to incriminate yourself. It ain't gonna affect nobody else because an adult cannot be bullied. See, a adult cannot be bullied because it's an adult. All you got to do is get off YouTube. You know, if you go into a park and they keep snatching your purse, guess what you do? Don't go to that park anymore. You know what I'm saying? You go to a sandwich shop and they keep like messing up your order, then you can't complain about it. You just go to another shop. Look, look, when it comes to violations, there is some states it takes two parties to consent to a recording. Some states are one party. All right. When she recorded all these people without their consent, that was illegal. All you have to do is find out when she played 8 hours of private recordings. 8 hours. Since she think videos on YouTube can be evidence, the only video on YouTube that could be evidence is if somebody was killing a cat or a human or a molestation or something like that. Everything else is interpretation, hearsay, and it could be fake because anything on TV or the internet could be set up as like a make-believe thing. Like one time, this dude got pulled over by a cop, and he asked the cop for some special ID, and he didn't get a ticket because the cop couldn't produce this special ID. It was supposed to be his graduation, some kind of special ID from school, and the cop didn't give him a ticket, and so he drove off, and he said, "See, you have rights, and you don't have to do this." So this black girl tried to do the same thing, and they almost impounded her car. And the only reason they didn't take her car and stuff because she had a baby in the back seat, and she was tripping, and she was filming. So they said, "Well, we'll just catch her at home." So she had cardboard as a license plate with something written on it, and she didn't have no driver's license. And she asked the ID the same thing that white dude asked the cop in the YouTube video. So they just went to her house later on with a warrant to arrest her and her boyfriend. Now, unfortunately, this part is sad. She had 2 children. One was with the guy in the house, and one was from another father. The child with the guy in the house was an infant, and he jumped out the back window with the baby to escape because he had a warrant too. She had a shotgun, and she wasn't going to let herself be arrested. So, I could be corrected on this story, but the child ran out and startled the police, and the child got shot, and then she got shot. She ended up dying, but I think the child survived. But the moral of the story is, whatever you see on YouTube, if you wasn't standing there in person, you don't know if it's real or not. And when you playing videos of somebody else video that is somebody else video, like if you're replaying L. Davis video or somebody else video that's a video of somebody, how the hell is that evidence? But you filmed yourself selling weed. You played the audio of 8 hours of private recordings and people was not aware that they were being recorded. And some of these people live in a one-party state. That's a crime that you filmed yourself. Just like the movie Don't Fuck with Cats. He filmed himself smothering cats with a vacuum cleaner and a plastic bag. You filmed yourself making a drug deal. You showed evidence of you recording people privately without their consent in one-party and two-party states. You did that. You deleted those videos thinking that you was going to cover up your crimes. You showed nudity online, not only of yourself, but of an infant. An infant. Not one picture. That picture came from Instagram. It didn't come from YouTube. You know how you say y'all bring stuff from Instagram over to YouTube? That ain't right. Y'all took my son's pictures off of Instagram. Well, you showed somebody's infant child fully nude, a female child fully nude, 5 pictures. And then you looked at the camera and made a crazy look and said, so there. I remember it word for word. And you admitted to showing everyone's information, including your own, letting your father's phone number, all that bullshit come across the screen, taking a tour of your own YouTube, showing your own address and showing your ex-boyfriend's pictures, and they probably don't even want to be associated with you anymore. It's been 14 years, but you still want to show your connection to these people. I don't have a block on my Facebook page. Anybody can go to it because I don't put nothing personal on it. My Facebook is open to the public. And my IG is open to the public. And I never took a picture that wasn't doctored. Every picture that I post has some production on it. What's up, Evelyn in the building? Oh, Church, you got to see the Netflix movie Don't Fuck with Cats. Because this dude is crazy, just like Labanya. The only difference is he killed 3 cats and then he killed a human being. But all the other stuff was like something that Labanya would do. Like, she's not a killer or murderer, so she didn't do that. But all the other stuff. And then the mother was defending him. The mother was like, he was being forced. There was a guy forcing him to do that. No, he already knew that he was going to do these killings. So a year in advance, he started developing an alibi of this made-up person that was forcing. He thought he was going to get off because it was going to be this made-up person that they're never going to find that forced him to do this stuff. And he was going to be in the clear. But even if they did find this other guy, he still did it. He's still guilty. So even if somebody gets in trouble for calling a number, sending pizza, or calling someone's job, or whatever, you're still wrong for making that information available. Nobody would have had no knowledge of anything unless you posted it first. And nobody gonna waste money on paying a service to get information about you, especially when you volunteer that information for free first. All right. The timeline don't fit. When you dox yourself and let your family phone numbers and personal messages come across the screen, that was way before you accuse someone of doing research on you to find out other stuff. Plus, a lot of people don't know this, but when you have a Facebook account, there's already another website that has information on you just because you have a Facebook account. There's another website that puts your information up for free. It says how many people in your household, do you own your house or not, all your information. I'm not going to give that website away, but just because you join Facebook, somehow this other company keeps a record of your personal information for advertisers to go to. And people who want to sell real estate or home alarm systems or solar panels. So don't be so quick to jump on the bandwagon with these things. I know you're going to look like you're not hip and you're not with the in crowd and you're not in touch with what's going on today. But just because you see 50,000 people jump off a bridge don't mean you got to jump off a bridge too. I made that mistake once in my life. Me and my friends rode our bicycles to the park, and my friend was supposed to be tough. He was supposed to be like a Crip, like whatever, you know what I'm saying? And we got to the park, a couple of dudes approached us. He got off his bike and leaped against the fence. And I looked at him like, okay, this nigga hard. He must know them. Like this must be his friends, right? So I get off my bike and lean against the fence too and fold my arms. These two dudes gets on the bikes and rolled off. And I said, are they coming back? And I was like 12 years old. He said, no, we just got robbed. I'm like, what? You mean to tell me my parents is going to kill me? We 5 miles away from home. He said, I ain't tripping. I got insurance. I'm like, what the fuck is insurance? On a bicycle? He said, yeah, I got insurance. This dude, even though he was a fake Crip, spoiled rotten, his grandparents lived around the corner from his parents. He said, I'm going to go to the police station tomorrow and pick out another bike. I'm like, what the hell I'm going to do? So that's when I learned at 12 that, don't jump off a bridge just because somebody else jumped off a bridge. Because you might jump off. There's a lake out here. People was jumping off the edge of the cliff into the lake. One person jumped off that cliff and lost their leg. They hit a rock and severed their leg. You see what I'm saying? That same lake, people sitting on the edge of the boat, kicking their legs in the water. This person go to the back of the boat and kick his legs in the water, and the propellers cut his legs off. So yeah, you can get on YouTube and totally fuck up your own life. Yeah, and it's kind of messed up. Everybody else is on YouTube. They ain't going through what I'm going through. They didn't make the same stupid mistakes. They sat on the edge of the boat instead of the back of the boat. When they jumped off the cliff, they jumped in the middle where they knew it was clear. You jumped too close to the edge of the cliff. You see what I'm saying? He got off his bike. He didn't want to fight them dudes because he got insurance. And he know he could go to the police station. He knew something I didn't know. So we got the video of you when we got the screenshot saying, hey, the number is showing. Hey, we can see your dad just called. And that YouTuber said, I ain't worried about it. That's okay. Don't worry about it. I know. Don't worry. I ain't worried about it. So take that to the police. Take that to YouTube. That's evidence right there. I don't block people. We don't block people here. I feel like everyone can speak their mind. As soon as you learn how to block, you went block crazy. You was a blocking motherfucker. You see how the shit turns around? First, I don't block people. I'm holy. I'm safe. Learn how to block. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? If you ever see me block my thumbs downs and thumbs up, it's because my feelings are hurt and I feel like people are thumbsing me down because I'm not giving a good show, and I got so many thumbs down. If you ever see me block my thumbs down or block my comments, it's because I'm offended and my feelings are hurt from the comments. So you think that you're doing something by blocking the comments and the thumbs down and the thumbs down? The mere fact that you're blocking it shows that you're insecure and that your show is not successful, it's not popular, nobody likes your show, because the only people that block their thumbs up and thumbs downs is the people that don't like the results. The only people that block their comments or erase their comments is the people that are offended by those comments. I cannot improve my show unless somebody gives me a bad comment. I cannot improve my show unless I have the thumbs down or the thumbs up to measure it by. Yeah, you remember those days. We all remember those days. And it's all on video. So who's really going to jail? It's all on video. You got me rocking back and forth like Ray Charles. Even Stevie Wonder can see that. You blocked Eliana's father. Not you, but your stupid mods blocked Eliana's father off your channel. He ain't never coming back. Nobody's chatting in the chat room because everybody's blocked. Nobody's afraid to type. It's just that everybody's blocked. People are just watching you, just like I like to watch the what do they call? Oh, at the zoo, my favorite exhibit is the flying foxes. They're bats, but they're very big bats, the size of a fox they got a leather coat and a fur coat. So their wings are leather. When they close their arms, they look like they got on a leather trench coat. And when they open up their arms, they look like they got on a fur coat. So they do everything upside down except piss, I think. They do everything upside down. So whenever I go to the zoo, I spend a lot of time watching the flying foxes. And that's what they do when they go to your channel. They're just watching the flying foxes. They're going to see if you're going to do something crazy again. Yeah. So let me try to run through these 22 immutable laws of marketing. Um, Let me see if I could briefly run through it, because this is important. If you want to have your own channel, you want to do something to promote your product or whatever. You want to promote your channel. This would be good for that. And let me see here. I'm just gonna run through the only thing I'm gonna speak fully of is the introduction, and then we're just gonna do a brief run through all the rules. I'm only going to say maybe 2 sentences per rule, but I am going to bore you with the introduction first, okay? All right, give me 1 second. Okay. Billions of dollars have been wasted on marketing. Marketing programs that couldn't possibly work, no matter how clever or brilliant or how big the budget. Many managers assume that a well-designed, well-executed, and well-financed marketing program will work. It's not necessarily so, and you don't have to look further than IBM, General Motors, and Sears and Roebuck to find the example. The tools and techniques used at Sears and Roebuck might have been right, sometimes even spectacular, and um, maybe right sometimes and even spectacular. And the managers who ran GM Motors program might have been the best and the brightest. Certainly, the best and the brightest people traditionally have been attracted to the biggest and the best companies like General Motors and IBM. But the programs themselves were based on assumptions that were flawed. So, John Kenneth Galbraith, when asked what he believed was America's perception of the country giant corporation, he said that we feared corporate powers. He said today we feared corporate, and he said back then we feared corporate powers. Today we fear corporate incompetence. Um, all companies are in trouble, especially big companies. General Motors is a good example. Over the past decade, a company paid a terrible price for destroying the identity of its brand. It priced them alike as well and made them look alike. 10 shared points evaporated, which translated into about $10 billion dollars a year in sales. General Motors problem wasn't competitive problems, although competition did increase. It was quality problem. It wasn't quality problems either. Although General Motors obviously wasn't delivering top-notch quality, it was very defiantly a marketing problem, or definitively a marketing problem. So when a company makes a mistake today, footprints quickly show up on the back as competition runs off with its business. To get the business back, the company has to wait for others to make a mistake and then figure out how to exploit the situation. And what they're talking about is like Coke and Pepsi. Coke tried to come out with new Coke, lost the market to Pepsi. Pepsi came out with Pepsi One or Clear Pepsi, lost the market back to Coke, but Coke was first in the market. So anyway, so how do you avoid making mistakes in the first place? The easy answer is to make sure your program is in tune with the laws of marketing. Although we have defined our ideas and concepts under the marketing banner, they are useful no matter where you are in the company and no matter what product or service your company is selling. Keep that in mind. What are these marketing laws and who brought them down from Mount Sinai onto the stone tablet? Well, the fundamental laws of marketing are those described in this book. But who says so? How come two guys from Connecticut have discovered what thousands of others have overlooked? Well, there are after all many sophisticated marketing practitioners and academics. Why have they missed what we have Why have they missed what we think is so obvious? The answer is simple. As far as we can tell, almost no one is willing to admit that there are any laws of marketing, certainly none that are immutable. So, there are laws of nature, so why should there be laws of marketing? You can build a great looking airline, or you can build a great looking airplane, but if it's not going to get off the ground unless it's adhered to the laws of physics, so especially the laws of gravity. So you can build a architectural masterpiece on a sand dune, but the first hurricane will undermine its creation. So it follows that you can build a brilliant marketing program only to have one of the immutable laws knock you flat if you don't know what they are. So perhaps it's human nature not to admit there are things you can't do, and certainly most marketers believe that anything is achievable if you are energetic enough and creative enough and determined enough. But especially if you are willing to spend money. That may not be true. But anyway, once you open your mind to the possibilities that there are laws of marketing, it's easy to see what they are. In truth, they are obvious. So we have been studying what works in marketing and what doesn't work for more than 25 years. What we have found is that programs that work are almost always in tune with some fundamental force in the marketplace. So, what's up, Ferris and everybody? I haven't been keeping up with so and so still making frequent videos. Yeah, that person wants attention now because nobody's paying attention. Nobody's texting in the chat room. Nobody cares. Um, but that person is begging and screaming for attention like a spoiled brat. So the number one law of leadership, the number one law is the law of leadership. It's better to be first than, check this out. It's better to be first than it is to be better. Remember that. And you could use this for YouTube. You could use this to promote your channel, or you could use this for your business or whatever you're trying to do. It's better to be first than it is to be better. Now, I bought this book a long time ago on the way to somewhere. Every time I go to the airport and catch a plane, I buy a book from the bookstore. But now I get a PDF file on iBooks, but or I go in the bookstore and see a book, and then I go on my iPad and buy the book online instead of buying it from the store. I know I'm wrong for that, but anyway, many people believe that the basic issue in marketing is convincing prospects that you have a better product. Well, that's not true. You have a small market share and you have to do battle with larger, better financed companies or competitors. So then your marketing strategy was probably faulty in the first place. You violated the first law of marketing. You see? So the basic issue in marketing is creating a category you could be first in. It's the law of leadership. It's better to be first than it is to be better. It's much easier to get in the minds first than to try to convince someone you have a better product than the one that they did get, that better than someone who got there first. So, what's the name of the first person to fly the Atlantic Ocean solo? Well, we all know it was Charles Lindbergh, right? Well, what's the name of the second person to fly the Atlantic Ocean solo? Not so easy to answer, is it? So we're going to skip to the next law because I said I'm not going to spend too much time on each law. But the book is by Al Ries and Jack Trout. Al Ries and Jack Trout. The 22 immutable laws of marketing. Hey. Everybody in the building, died in the building. All right. The second law is the law of category. You can't be the first. If you can't be the first in a category, set up a new category you can be first in. You see what I'm saying? What's the name of the third person to fly the Atlantic Ocean solo? If you didn't know that Bert Hinkler was the second person to fly the Atlantic Ocean, you might figure you hadn't had a chance to know all the names of or at least the third person, but you do. It's Amelia Earhart. You see what I'm saying? Now, is Amelia Earhart known as the third person to fly the Atlantic Ocean solo, or as the first woman to do so? So, the second person to fly was another male, but another male beat him. Lindbergh beat him, so who cares about the second? Amelia flies across the Atlantic Ocean, and the reason why we remember her name because she have a new category, female flyer. You see what I'm saying? Now, Amelia is known as the third person to fly the Atlantic Ocean, or as the first woman to do so. She's known as the first woman. After Hekins became a big success, the people at Anheuser-Busch could have had said, we should bring in an import beer too. But they didn't. Instead, they said if there's a market for a high price imported beer, maybe there's a market for a high price domestic beer. And so they started to promote Michelob, the first high price domestic beer, which today outsells Heineken's 2-1. And actually, Anheuser-Busch also brought in a imported beer, Carlsberg, which has a very good reputation in Europe. In the United States, however, the Me Too Carlsberg never went anywhere. See what I'm saying? And it gives you further examples. You know, Miller was the first domestic light. See how they created another category? And it took importers 5 years to say, if there's a market for domestic light beer, maybe there's a market for a imported light beer. The results was Amstel Light, which is the largest selling imported light beer, and so on and so forth and so on. But because we have a lot of laws to go through, I'm only going to briefly touch on each law. The third law is the law of the mind. It's better to be the first in the mind than to be the first in the marketplace. I repeat, it's better to be the first in the mind than to be the first in the marketplace. There was a computer called the Altair 8800, and that was introduced in 1974. And then there was the Apple II, introduced in 1976. But check this out. The world's first personal computer was the MITS Altair 8800. The laws of leadership would suggest that the MITS Altair 8800, unfortunately, a bad choice of names, ought to be number one because of the laws of marketing. But personal computer brand, unfortunately, the product was it ought to be the number one personal computer brand, but unfortunately, it's no longer with us. Dumont invested in the first commercial television set. Duray introduced the first automobile. Hurley introduced the first washing machine, and they're all gone. Okay? There are also companies that follow the first, copy their shit, and become successful without having to do the research and development. Yeah, well, this third law is going to explain that even though you're bigger and you're the first, you can still die because you had a bad choice of a name. And what this third law is going to tell you is it's easier to say IBM than to say Altair 8800. You know, which one is easier to remember? IBM or PC or the Scratcher Classic 60 Dosage 7480. You know what I'm saying? So is something wrong with the laws of leadership in this chapter, in chapter 1? No, because they did follow the law of leadership, but the law of the mind modifies it. It's better to be first in the prospect's mind than to be the first in the marketplace, which of anything understates the importance of being first in the mind. Being the first in the mind is everything in marketing. Being the first in the marketplace is important only to the extent that it allows you to get in the minds first. For example, IBM wasn't first in the marketplace with the mainframe computer. Remington Rand was the first with the UNIVAC, the UNIVAC. But thanks to a massive marketing effort, IBM got into the minds first and won the computer battle early. The laws of the mind follow from the laws of perception. If marketing is a battle of perception, not product, then the mind takes precedence over the marketplace. The laws of the mind follow from the laws of perception. If marketing is a battle of perception, not the product in the minds, that it takes precedence over the marketplace. Thousands would be entrepreneurs are tripped up every year by this law. Someone has an idea or a concept, just like you said in the chat room. Someone has an idea or a concept he or she believes will revolutionize the industry as well as it may. The problem is getting the idea or concept into the prospect's mind. So we're going to skip over to the fourth law, the law of perception. Yeah, he did rip him off, but that's a different. That's kind of different because he didn't steal Bruce Lipton's clientele. The material that his website is on, they have an app, they have a subscription fee. He still have his following. If anything, people will eventually leave Nature Boy and go over to him once they find out where the source of his material is. He's on a website where they have a bunch of people with esoteric thoughts and theories like that, and he was only successful in stealing his material to introduce to people who didn't know he exists or would normally even seek him out because he's a different nationality, a different person from a different background and lifestyle. So anybody can do what he did, because if you're not into other races stuff and other culture stuff, one person can learn it and introduce it to their own group of people in their cult, and they would seem like a genius. You could do that today and tomorrow and yesterday. But I feel you. It's all good. I got you. Sometimes I could be too focused. But the fourth law of perception is marketing is not a battle of products. It's a battle of perception. All right? So many people think marketing is a battle of product. In the long run, they figure the best product will win. Marketing, people are preoccupied with doing research and getting facts. They analyze the situation to make sure that truth is on their side. Then they sail confidently into the market arena, secure in the knowledge that they have the best product and that ultimately the best product will win. Now, this book was written quite a few years ago, but the fact still remains of the laws. They're going to talk about companies that set the standards, companies that are big and lucrative, but it still applies to different companies today. The only difference is today, when you're first in the marketplace, like Facebook or whatever, you have enough money to buy out the competition, so it won't affect you. So that's the only thing that's changed. If IG is going to be your biggest competitor and they're small, well, you offer them a whole bunch of money before they take your business away. You know what I'm saying? So it's an illusion. There is no objectivity reality. There's no objective reality. There are no facts. This is how Apple won. This is how Apple got to where they are. There are no best products because Beats headphones is a piece of shit, and they don't even tell you all the way until Beats headphones came into the scene. When you buy headphones, on the back of the box, it tell you what type of metals that's in the wire. It tells you the frequency response. It has a diagram, a spectrum diagram. It gives you all this information about what's inside the headphones to make it sound the way it does. If you see on the back of the box that it says it only has a range between 20 and 40,000 hertz, between 20 and 40,000 hertz, you might say, well, that's not enough bass for me. I need something with a bigger range, like 5 to 50,000 hertz, something like that. Oh, they're not using gold and metal parts. They only using copper wire or something like that. You go, but that's too cheap. I need gold tip and such type of metal on my headphones. Stuff like that. The Beats never offered that. And when you go to the store to listen to them and they have it plugged in, the wire goes into a counter and you can't see what's behind the counter, but they could have an amplifier underneath the counter that boosts the sound and make it sound better. So when you're listening, you think you're hearing what you would hear at home. And even though it's going to be better than what you heard before, it still was an illusion. So anyway, but like they said, there is no best products. All that exists in the world is marketing and perceptions in the minds of the consumer or the prospects. Now, the perception is the reality. See what I'm saying? The perception is the reality. Everything else is an illusion. All truth is relative to your mind or the mind of another human being. When you say, I'm right and the next person is wrong, you're really saying that you're a better perceiver than someone else. Now, most people think they are better perceivers than others. They have a sense of personal infallibility. Their perceptions are always more acute than those of their neighbors or friends. Who did that sound like? Truth and perception becomes fused in the mind, leaving no difference between the two. It's not easy to see this is so. To cope with the terrifying reality of being alone in the universe, people project themselves on the outside world. They live in an arena of books, movies, televisions, newspaper, magazines, and they belong to clubs or organizations or channels or websites and in institutions. These outside representations of the world seem more real than the reality inside their own minds. People cling firmly to the belief that reality is the world outside of the mind and that the individual is one small speck on the global spaceship. Actually, it's the opposite. The only reality you can be sure about is in your own perceptions. If the universe exists, it exists inside your own mind and the minds of others. That's the reality that marketing programs must deal with. See what I'm saying? So they may as well be oceans, rivers, cities, towns, and trees and houses out there, but just isn't any way for us to know these things except through our own perception. Marketing is a manipulation of those perceptions. And we're going to move on to the next law. If you want to see this stuff in full detail, feel free to look the book up. This is a physical book in my hand. I have a pretty nice sized library. It's going to take me a long time to even appreciate what's there, to discover everything. So the fifth law is the law of focus. The most powerful concepts in marketing is owning a word in the prospect's mind. Now, I love this law, the law of focus. I haven't read this book in a decade, but I remember this law, the law of focus. Okay. A company can become incredibly successful if it can find a way to own a word in the mind of the prospect. Now, not a complicated word, not a invented one. The simple words are the best. Words taken right out of the dictionary. Okay? This is a law of focus. You burn your way into the minds of narrowing the focus of a single word or a concept. It's the ultimate marketing sacrifice. For example, Federal Express was able to put the word overnight into the minds of the prospects because it sacrificed its product line and focused on a overnight package delivery only. In a way, the law of leadership, it's better to be first than to be uh it's better to be first than to be better. Enables the first brand or the company own words in the minds of the prospect. So, but the word the leader owns is so simple that it's invisible. Now, I'll give you an example before I even read the rest of this. People don't say, pass me a Kleenex. I mean, they say, pass me the Kleenex. They don't say, pass me the tissue. But it's really tissue. People say, pass me the A1, but it's really steak sauce. Even if it wasn't a brand by A1, it was even if it was steak sauce, people would still call it steak sauce. I remember, I mean, they would call it A1. I remember I used to carry an MP3 player all the time, and people would say, "Is that an iPod?" And I go, "No, this is a Samsung MP3 player." Every time I had a different MP3 player, they still tried to call it an iPod. You see what I'm saying? So, in a way, well, the leaders that own the word that stands for the category, for example, IBM owns computer. This is another way of saying that the brand becomes a generic name for the category. We need an IBM machine. Is there any doubt that a computer is being requested? You see what I'm saying? What's up, Sage? Welcome. And right, people can call something a brand name even if it's not that brand. Exactly. Um, you can also test the validity of a leadership claim by a word association test. If you give it a if the given words are computer, copier, chocolate, bar, cola, the four most associated words are IBM, Xerox, Hershey, and Coke. People don't say make me a copy of this paper. They say Xerox this paper. Um, An astute leader will go one step further to solidify its position. All right. Heinz owned the word ketchup, but Heinz went on to isolate the most important ketchup attribute. Slow ketchup in the West is how companies is preempting the thickness attribute. So owning the word slow helps Heinz maintain a 50% market share. And they used to have a bunch of commercials showing how slow the ketchup come out the bottle. Now, if you're not a leader, then your word has to have a narrow focus. Even more important, however, your words have to be available in your category. No one else can have a lock on it. So you don't have to be a linguistic genius to find a winner. Because look, we have Prego win against Ragu. In the spaghetti sauce market, it captured a 27% share with the idea borrowed from Heinz. Prego word is thicker. That's how they market. That's how they separate themselves. The most effective words are simple and benefit benefit orientated. No matter how complicated the product, no matter how complicated the need of the market, uh, it's always better to focus on one word or benefit rather than two or three or four. Also, the halo effect. If you strongly establish one benefit, the product is likely to give you a lot of other benefits too. A thicker spaghetti sauce implies quality nourishing ingredients, value, and so on. A safer car implies better design and engineering. But it only implies that. It doesn't make it so, but it implies that. Cool. I'm glad you guys are still listening because, of course, we have a lot more laws to go through. But I think this is very informative and I'm refreshing because when I first read this book, YouTube didn't exist. When I first read this book, I wasn't doing live to YouTube show. So today I'm rehashing these laws, and from this day on, I'm going to apply these laws to not only this show but other things in my life. I think I chose a good name by choosing His Lordship. It's good, easy, simple name, and it implies um, um, a certain level of importance. It implies a person of status, even though that may not be true. But it's the it's the perception you want to put in the mind states of the prospect. You see what I'm saying? So where was I? And I see grown folks still in the house. Cool. I'm looking at the book again. Whether the results of a deliberate program or not, the most successful companies or brands are the ones that own a word in the minds of the prospect. Some words like Volkswagen, Farfanugan are not only owning. Here are a few examples: Crest, cavities; Mercedes, engineering; BMW, driving; Volvo, safety; Domino's, home delivery; Pepsi, Cola, youth; Nordstrom's, service. So we came to some different varieties. They could be benefit related, cavity prevention; service related, home delivery; audience related, younger people; or sales related, preferred brand. Although we've been touting the word, it sticks in the minds. Nothing lasts forever, and there comes a time when a company must change words. It's not an easy task, but recent history of Lotus Development Corporation demonstrates the nature of the problem. Now, I was going to go to the next uh, law, but this law is very important. This is my personal opinion. This law, uh, number 5, is very important. So I'm going to expand on the 5th law. All right, and thank you, Evelyn. Right on. Uh, for a number of years, Lotus have owned the word spreadsheet. Lotus was synonymous with 1, 2, and 3 in spreadsheet. Because the word of spreadsheets is getting competitive and the potential for growth is limited, like other companies, Lotus wants to grow. So, how is the company to get beyond its single product business? The conventional answer is to expand in all directions, as IBM and Microsoft did. As a matter of fact, Lotus did some conventional line extensions with the purchase of a AMI Pro word processing software and the introduction of a number of new software products. The Lotus regrouped and focused on new concepts called groupware, software products for the next worked PC. Well, they were lucky that they were able to grow with technology and transform their product to fit the next thing. But other companies wasn't so lucky. And this is coming off the dome. I'm not reading from the book. Other companies wasn't so lucky. Like we talked about A1 steak sauce, right? But nobody remembers A1 salad dressing. And when they came out with A1 salad dressing, they almost put themselves out of business because they're already known for steak sauce. So why even go there? But they tried it. And just like Coke tried New Coke, Cherry Coke, all these other Cokes. And so they had to return back to their original brand and let you know that we have returned to what we was before. And they came out with the classic Coke. And every time Coke tried something funny, Pepsi would take over the market. And then Pepsi would get overconfident and try something funny. And they come with Pepsi One, Clear Coke, Clear Pepsi and all this other BS. You see what I'm saying? So one bad marketing choice can ruin your business completely, or you can lose the marketing advantage over another company. It doesn't matter who's first. You see what I'm saying? So, so Lotus was the first software company to develop a successful groupware product. If things work out, the company will eventually own a second word in the minds of its prospect. You see what I'm saying? Unlike Microsoft, Lotus now has a corporate focus, and it won't happen overnight. But Lotus could develop a powerful long-term position in the software field. What Overnight did for Federal Express and Safety did for Volvo and Groupware could do for Lotus Development Corporation. You see what I'm saying? Now, you can't take somebody else's word. What makes the Lotus strategy plausible is that the groupware word is not owned by any other company. Furthermore, there is a enormous industry trend towards network computers. So, have the word groupware, it makes you think that things are being grouped together. So more than half of all businesses' computers are connected to a network. So there's even a new magazine called Network Computing. So many companies see the advantage of owning a single word or a concept called the corporate vision, but they neglect to be the first to preempt the word. So what won't work in marketing is leaving your own word in search of a word owned by others. So this was the case with Atari, which owned the word video game, but the business turned out to be a faddish or a fad. So in 1982, it sailed off into a new direction. It wanted Atari to be computers. So CEO James Morgan laid it all out. Atari's strength as a name also tend to be its weakness. So, because most people remember Atari as a game, not as a computer. So it's synonymous with the video game. Atari most redefined this image and broadened its business definition to the electronic consumer product. Unfortunately for Mr. Morgan's strategy, a host of other companies, including Apple and IBM, owned the word he was after. So Atari's diversification was a disaster. And the real irony was another company arrived in 1986 and took over the concept Atari walked away from. And that company was called Nintendo, which today has 75% of the multi-billion-dollar market. Who knows what Atari is doing these days? Yeah, you remember Clear Pepsi. So I don't want to speak that long on each law, but it was something about that fifth law that I had to expand on. And now we're going to move on. You can always read the rest on your own. Now, the uh, the sixth law is the law of exclusivity. Two companies cannot own the same word in the prospect's mind. So, when a competitor owns a word or a position in the prospect's mind, it is futile to attempt to own the same word. Just like if you name your show Pandora this and this and that, you know what I'm saying? Somebody already done it before you. Somebody already played victim before you. Anyway, as we mentioned earlier, Volvo owns safety. So many other automobile companies, including Mercedes Benz and General Motors, had tried to run marketing campaigns based on safety. Yet, no one except Volvo had success in getting into the prospect's mind with a safety message. The Atari story shows the futility of attempting to move in on the home computer position against well entrenched computers. A variation called game computer might have been possible because it would have taken advantage of the perception. of the perception of Atari as a creator of computer games. But that's about it. The home computer position belongs to Apple, Commodore, and others. Despite the disaster stories, many companies have continued to violate the laws of exclusivity. You can't change people's minds once they are made up. And that's what makes me mad about podcasts because, podcast, POD means small. Pod is two words together, cast and pod. Cast is short for broadcast, pod is short for small. If your podcast is not small, it's not a podcast. And there are, when you go, if you look up rule like industry standards, right? It'll give you the definition when you look up what's an EP, what's an LP, what's a 12-inch, what's a 7-inch, what's a 5-inch, what's a pre-recorded radio show, what's a streaming radio show, what's the average length, what's a podcast, all of that stuff is right at your fingertips. But anyway, Federal Express has walked away from overnight and is in the middle of trying to take over worldwide away from DHL. Overnight letters used to be embezzled on Federal Express envelopes. Today, you'll find FedEx letters instead. Advertising no longer says when it's absolutely positively have to be there overnight. Who remembers that? That's like the Mandela effect. Federal Express used to say when it has to be there overnight, you can count on us. But now Federal Express advertising is worldwide. You see what I'm saying? Now we're going to skip over to the next law. The law of the ladder. Now this one is cool too. While being the first in the prospect's mind ought to be your primary marketing objective, the battle isn't lost if you fail in this endeavor. There are strategies to use for number 2 and number 3. If you can't be number 1, try to be number 2 and number 3 and wait for number 1 to make a mistake. So all products are created, all products are not created equal. There is a hierarchy in the minds of the prospect and in use in making decisions. So for each category, there is a product ladder in the mind, and on each what is that? Rung is a brand name. Take the parental category. Hertz got into the minds first and wound up being top running. All right. Avis got in the second, and National got in the third. So your marketing strategy should depend on how soon you got into the minds, consequently, which rung of the ladder you occupy. The higher, the better, of course. Now take Avis, for example. For years, the company advertised as the high quality of its rental car service, and the finest in rental cars was its one of its campaigns. So the reader looks at the ad and wonders, how could they have the finest rental car service when they're not on top, or they're not on the top of the running ladder? Well, then Avis did one thing that you have to do to make progress. Inside the minds of the prospect, they acknowledge their position on the ladder. Avis is not only number 2 in rental cars, so why go with us? Because we try harder. Thanks, Evelyn. Right on. So Avis says we try harder. Roll with us because we try harder. So then Avis did one thing. For 13 years in a row, Avis had lost money. Then when it admitted to being number 2, it started to make money. Lots of money shortly thereafter. The company was sold to ITT, which promptly ordered up the advertising theme Avis is going to be number one. See there? So no, they're not. They're not said. Nor they're not said the prospect. They're not on top run of my ladder. And to make the point, Biddy picked up the phone and called Hertz. The campaign was a disaster. Wow. So let me run that back. When they sold the company to ITT, they promptly ordered up an advertising theme saying Avis is going to be number one. So, uh, no, they're not, said the prospect. So the prospect said, oh, no, we're not going to let you be number one. Uh, they're not on the run of my ladder. And to make that point, Biddy picked up the phone and called Hertz. The company, the campaign was a disaster. So many marketing people have misread the Avis story. They assumed the company was successful because it tried harder. Um, it had to be a better service, but it wasn't it at all. Avis was successful because it related itself to the position of Hertz in the minds. If trying harder was the secret of success, Harold Stassen would have been president many times over. So many marketers make the same mistake as Avis. Currently, Adelphi University in Garden City, Long Island, is comparing itself favorably with Harvard. Wait a minute, says the high school senior. Adelphi is not on my college ladder, but as you might expect, Adelphi is not very successful in attracting the top students. So the minds is selective. Prospects use their ladders in deciding which information to accept and which information to reject. So in general, a mind accepts only new data that is consistent with its product ladder in the category. Everything else is ignored. So when Chrysler compared its cars with Honda, very few people traded in their Preludes for an Accord. I mean, very few people traded in their Preludes and Accords for Plymouth and Dodges. The headlines of one Chrysler ad said, comparing a word Dodge with Spirit to a new Honda Accord seems a little ridiculous until we saw the results. According to the ad, 100 people were asked to compare a Dodge Spirit with a 70,000 miles on a new Honda Accord, and the majority, 58 out of 100, chose the used Dodge. Wow. Okay. So it's ridiculous, but not necessarily untrue because the product ladder. So what about the product ladder in the prospect's mind? How many runs um, are in on your ladder? It depends on whether your product is high interest or low interest. Um, Products you use every day, cigarettes, cola, beer, toothpaste, cereal, tend to be high interest products with many runs on their ladder. So products that are purchased infrequently, furniture, lawnmowers, luggage, usually have few runs on their ladder. So products that involve great deal of personal pride, automobiles, watches, cameras, are also high interest products with many names or many runs on their ladder, even though they are purchased infrequently. So we're going to move on. That was the law of the ladder. Like Crest, Colgate. People prefer Crest because it looks prettier. Colgate doesn't look as prettier. Colgate is a little cheaper, but sometimes Crest is on sale. But people buy Colgate most of the time, unless Crest is on sale. If Crest is on sale, people buy Crest. You know what I'm saying? Which one is better? So the eighth law is the law of duality. All right. Okay, early on in a new category is the ladder of mini runs. RUNGS. This is best. Every time I see that word, it just mess me up. My brain just clock out. Because I never used that word in a sentence before. Um, Gradually, the ladder becomes of two runs affairs. In batteries, it's Everready and Duracell. In photo films, it's Kodak and Fuji. In a rent a car, it's Hertz and Avis. In mouthwash, it's Listerine and Scope. And in hamburgers, it's McDonald's and Burger King. In sneakers, it's Nike and Reebok or whatever. And in toothpaste, it's Crest and Colgate. See, I said that without even reading that. So, back in 1969, or actually, when you take the long view of marketing, you find that the battle usually wind up is a titanic struggle between two major players, usually the old reliable brand and the new upstart. So back in 1969, there were three major brands of certain product. The leader had about 60% of the market. Number two brand had about 25% share, and the number three brand had about a 6% share. The rest of the market include either private labels or minor brands. The law of duality suggests that these market shares are unstable. Furthermore, the law predicts that the leader will lose the market share and number two will gain. Now, 22 years later, the leader dropped down to 45% of the market. Number two brand has 40% share of the market, and number three has 3%. Now, the products are Coca Cola, Pepsi, and Royal Crown, which is my favorite, Royal Crown, respectively. But the principles apply to the brands everywhere. Now, look at the three long distance telephone companies. AT&T has 65% of the market share, MCI has 17%, and Sprint has 10%. Who will win and who will lose in the telephone wars? And that's based on those times. Um, while the figure is unknown, the law of unpredictability, a better person would put his or her money on MCI, and and it has, and MCI has won a battle with Sprint for second place, and actually a long time ago, MCI had sued AT&T and got a huge settlement because AT&T had a monopoly that was legally sanctioned. But good thing we have the Supreme Court. But this Washington had sanctioned this monopoly, which is crazy. So thank you, Blue Rain. So MCI has won the battle with Sprint for second place. So now MCI ought to become the upstart alternative to old reliable AT&T. Sprint is probably feeling very comfortable on the third run of the ladder. 9% doesn't sound like much, but it translates into $6 billion. So even with Sprint's little uh, small percentage, it still translates into $6 billion. And I heard that Sprint, just got bought, but this book was written, quite a while ago. Um, and the market has been growing rapidly, and that's true. Um, so for a long term, however, Sprint is in serious trouble. Look at what happened. Now, look, this book kind of predicted this. Look what happened to Royal Crown Soda back in 1969. The Royal Crown Company uh, revitalized its franchise system, 350 bottles strong, and hired a former president of a rival pet food company and veteran of both Coca Cola and Pepsi. The company also retained Wells, Rich, Green, and high powered New York advertising agency. We're out to kill Coke and Pepsi, he declared Mary Wells Lawrence. The agency head to the Royal Crown bottlers I hope you excuse the word, but we're really out for the juggler. And the only brand that got killed was Royal Crown. In the maturing industry, third place is a difficult position to be in. Take the domestic automobile industry. In spite of heroic measures undertaken by Lee Iacocca, Chrysler is in trouble. In the long run, marketing is a two-car race. And they give examples with video games and other examples. So we're going to move on. The law of opposites. Okay. And they show a scale with Coke on one end and Pepsi on the other, and Pepsi is higher Coke on the scale. In strength there are weaknesses. All right. In strength there are weaknesses. Wherever the leader is strong, there is a opportunity for a would-be number two to turn the tables. Okay? If you want to establish a firm foothold on the second run of the ladder, study the firm above you. All right? Where is it strong? And that's just like if you're looking at another YouTuber, another channel. If somebody got a bunch of fans and they doing well and they got their assets and you keep seeing the super chat popping off, study them. Don't hate on them. Study them. Peep game. Okay? You must discover the essence of the leader and then present the prospect with the opposite. In other words, don't try to be better, try to be different. It's often a upstart versus a old reliable. Coca-Cola is a 100-year-old product. Only 7 people in the history of the world have known the Coke formula, which is kept locked in a safe in Atlanta. I had no idea. Coca-Cola is the old established product. However, using the law of opposites, Pepsi-Cola revered the essence of Coca-Cola and to become the choice of the new generation, the Pepsi generation. You see how marketing is? When they came up with the whole, like, this soda represents this generation, because Coca-Cola is so old and so reliable and so popular, they had to cut them off at the knees and say, well, this generation drinks Pepsi. If you've been born in the last 18 years, you don't want to mess with old Coke. Your Coke represents your parents. If you're 18, 17, whatever, you should be drinking Pepsi because this speaks for your generation. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at at customers and giving product categories, there seems to be two kinds of people. There are those who want to buy from the leader, and there are those who want to buy from who don't want to buy from the leader. A potential number two has to appeal to the latter group. In other words, by positioning yourself against the leader, you can take business away from all of the other alternatives to number one. If old people drink Coke and young people drink Pepsi, there's nobody left to drink Royal Crown. Bam. All right. Yet too many potential number two brands try to emulate the leader. This usually is an error. You must present yourself as the alternative. So I'm going to move on to the next law. And as I go through these laws, we're going to get briefer and briefer because it's a lot of laws. But at least it ain't 48. At least it ain't 48. It's only 22, and we're at number 10, y'all. Yeah, they try to make Coke seem lame, and Coke ain't lame. Coke is stronger, more acid, more sugar. It been more reliable, and Coke used to have the real ingredients in it. That's why the commercial said there's nothing like the real thing. And it's true. It's nothing like the real thing. Coca-Cola. Try Coke. It's nothing like the real thing. But That's why I like in the TV show Mad Men, one of their clients was Coca Cola, and they did that historical Coca Cola commercial where if you drink Coke, you're smart, you're young, you're not prejudiced, you're inclusive, you want the world to come together and unite. Drink Coke if you have the same mind state. You see what I'm saying? It was the Coke of an era of the movies, the movement, the 60s, the 70s. It stayed relevant all this time. So the 10th law is the law of division. All right. This one is a tricky, difficult law here. But I could be wrong, but I personally feel this is a tricky law here. Um, like an amoeba dividing into in a petri dish, the marketing arena can be viewed as a ever expanding sea of categories. So a category may start off as a single computer, for example, but over the time, categories break up into other segments like mainframes, mini computers, workstations, personal computing, laptops, notebooks, pen computers, PDAs, smartphones, tablets, touchscreen, stylus. This phone uses a stylus. So anyway, like the computer, the automobile started off as a single category. Three brands, Chevrolet, Ford, and Plymouth, dominated the market. Then the category divided. Today we have luxury cars, moderately priced cars, and inexpensive cars. We have full size, intermediate, and compact. We have sports cars, four-wheel drive, and we have RVs and minivans. So in the television industry, ABC, CBS, and NBC once accounted for 90% of the viewing audience. Now we have networks, independent cable, pay and public television, and soon we'll have in-store and interactive television. And like I said, this book was built before the net and all that really popped off. So now we got Netflix and we got Amazon and Roku and Crackle and all this other stuff now. And so um, beer started out the same way. Today we have imported domestic beer, premium and popular price beers, light, draft, and dry beers, even uh, non-alcoholic beer. Who would have thought there would be a marketplace for non-alcoholic beer? The laws of division even affects countries. And see, YouTube allow you to have one vanity channel, like your main network, right? But you can have 8 sub channels under that one main channel. So you can have your main show, and then those sub channels would be your other, you branching out into divisions. Like this could be your sports, this could be gossip, this could be your roasting channel, this could be your whatever, your personal, while I'm just chilling on the road channel. And then you got your main channel where you're using OBS Studio and the big production. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know if you know that, but YouTube allows you to have that. But the only thing is, if you take, if you got so many penalties and stuff, and somebody take your main channel, all those sub channels go with it. You wiped off the face of the board. So anyway, so if you're gonna do something like that, you're really trying to be like diversified, because all those sub channels count on the main channel as views and everything like that. You're gonna have to be good in order to keep your channel, so you won't risk losing your whole network. You see what I'm saying? Uh, so uh, the laws of division even affects countries. Uh, People witnessed the mess of Yugoslavia in 1976. They were about 35. They were about 35% empire, kingdoms, countries, and states in the world. Okay, in 1976, there were about 35 empires, kingdoms, countries, and states in the world. By World War II, the number had doubled. By 1970, there were more than 130 countries. Today, there are some 190 countries and are generally recognized as a sovereign nation. Okay. Um, and look at the music field and all that stuff. It's just tons and tons of examples. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Oh, thank you, Blue Rain. I hope I'm not talking to myself. I thought this was interesting. I hope you guys or someone find it interesting later on for sure. So law number 11. We only got 11 more to go, and I'm gonna try to step it up a little bit. The law of perspective. Okay. Hey, what's up in the building, Tuki? Is alcohol a stimulant or a depressant? If you visit almost any bar and grill on a Friday after work before the quarantine, you swear that alcohol was a stimulant. The noise and the laughter are strong evidence of alcohol's stimulating effects. Yet, at 4 in the morning, when you see a few happy hour customers sleeping it off in the street, you swear that alcohol is a depressant. So, chemically, alcohol is a strong depressant, but in the short term, by depressing a person's inhibitions, alcohol acts like a stimulant. So, many marketing moves exhibit the same phenomenon. And you know what? I can see that because I remember when they were advertising Zimas. You remember Zimas back in the day? It was the most unmacho drink you could buy. But I thought it was cool. Like, I thought the bottle looked cool, but it didn't say macho. It didn't say man. And it was probably the prototype for what you call it, that word that they use for modern man. But anyway, or men who trim their eyebrows and stuff. I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. but but yeah. So, many marketing moves exhibit the same phenomena. The long-term effects are often exact opposite of the short-term effects. So, does a sale increase a company's business or decreases it? Obviously, the short term, a sale increases business, but there are more and more evidence that show that sales decrease because in the long term, by educating the customer not to buy not to buy regular prices. So aside for the fact that you can buy something for less, what does a sale say to a prospect? It says that your regular prices are too high. Often the sale is over. Customers tend to avoid the store with the sale reputation. Um, to maintain volume, retail outlets find they have to run almost continuous sales. It's not unusual to walk down to a retail block and find a dozen stores in a row with the word sale sign on their window. Have the automobile rebate program increase? Turning the page. Um, have the automobile rebate program increase sales? The rise of the automobile rebate had coincided with the decline of auto sales. So U.S. vehicle sales have declined for 5 years straight now in a row. The largest furniture company in New York City, Siemens, has been running a sale every week recently, and Siemens went bankrupt. And there are no evidence that couponing increases sales in the long run. Many companies find they need a quarterly dose of couponing to keep sales on the keel. Once they stop couponing, the sales drop off. In other words, you keep those couponing rolling out not to increase sales, but to keep sales from falling off. And if you stop, couponing is a drug. You continue to do so because the withdrawal symptoms are just too painful. So once you go down that road, once you start discounting stuff, you become the discount person, no matter what you do. You know, um, you just got to stick it through if you want to maintain who you are. Because it might be cool at first. Just and I, you know what, you can compare that to because I want to make this comparisons to YouTube since we all like YouTube and use it. If you become the beef person, let's say that you built a small fan base and they just come to you because they like your content, y'all cool, they like your personality, right? And then all of a sudden you flip into the beef person. And then they go, well, wait a minute, we didn't sign up for this. I kind of like that other person too. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check him out when maybe he'll come back to who he was. I'm good on this. And now you got this whole new fan base, and you got more people than you had before because you became this beef person, right? But the moment you stop beefing with a certain person or beefing with people, period, you lost all those fans, and now you got to figure out how to get your old clientele back. You know what I'm saying? Some of your clientele stuck around, but they don't like being in the same chat room as your new clientele. And even though you got views and you managed to get to 1,000 views or whatever, and you've been doing good with the drama, that's really not you. And you think that you can cut from the drama and phase into being a normal YouTuber, but that might not work because that's the 12th law of line. I'm sorry, that's the 11th law of perspective. You break that law, you can hurt your brand and all that work and all that you accomplished by breaking that law. Now, the 12th law is the line of extension, and I talked about this earlier. If violating any of our laws was a punishable offense, a large portion of corporate America would be in jail. 10 more to go, y'all. Hang in there. By far, the most violated law in our book is the law of line extension. Now, I spoke on this earlier, and I was coming off the dome, but this is going to tell you how people messed up. All right, and it's actually funny, so I might read a little more of this than usual. By far, the most violated law in our book is the law of the line of extension, which is more diabolical. Which is what's even more diabolical is that the line extension is a process that takes place continuously with almost no conscious effort on the part of the corporation. You know, I think they do that personally because they're trying to please the shareholders. That's my own. That has nothing to do with the book. That's my own personal opinion. Here, back to the book. It's like a closet or a desk drawer that fills up with almost no effort on your part. One day, a company is tightly focused on a single product, then that's highly profitable. The next day, that same company is spread thin over many products and is losing money. Take IBM. Years ago, when IBM was focused on mainframe computers, the company made a ton of money. Today, IBM is into everything and barely breaking even. In 1991, for example, IBM revenues were $65 billion, yet the company wound up losing $2 billion. That's almost $8 million a day. All right. In addition to selling mainframe computers, IBM marketed personal computers, pens, computers, and workstations, mid-range computers, software, networks, and telephones. You name it. IBM even tried to get into home computer markets with the PC Junior. All right. So along the way, IBM dropped billions on copiers, sold to Kodak, ROM, sold to Siemens, satellite businesses, satellite systems, Prodigy Networks, SAA, TopView, Office Vision, and OS2. When the company became increasingly, when a company becomes increasingly successful, it invariably plants the seed for its future problems. I had to say that slow because that's very significant. Take Microsoft, the most successful company in the software field. Even though the company is 1/5 the size of General Motors, Microsoft stock is worth more than General Motors. What is Microsoft's strategy? In a word, more. Microsoft Corp is the aggressively said it's aggressively seeking the dominant share in every major software application category in the personal computing field. And this book was written a while ago, so they did succeed in their mission. A lot of gas stations and ATM machines and stuff is still using Windows XP, even though they stopped using Windows XP with the consumer. It would be too expensive to change every gas station and ATM and stuff. That's anything that's running Microsoft from 20 years ago or 10 years ago. It's too expensive to replace it with new software. So Microsoft is going to forever get paid from these ATM machines, these gas stations, and other companies that's using their machine. And that's pretty gangster. So Microsoft Corp said it's aggressively seeking the dominant share in every major software application category in the personal computing field. He said that to the Wall Street Journal recently. Michael Maples, Senior Vice President of Microsoft Application Division, suggests that Microsoft might be able to achieve as much as 70% share in every major application category, continued the journal. Who does that sound like? Sound like IBM? Microsoft is setting itself up as the next IBM. With all the negative implications the name suggests. Microsoft is the leader in personal computer operation systems, but it trails the leader in each of the following major categories. Spreadsheet, Lotus is the leader. Word processing, WordPerfect is the leader. And business graphic, Harvard Graphics from SPC Software Publishing is the leader. Microsoft keeps puffing itself up and expanding into new categories such as pen computers. Recently, Microsoft bought Box Software for $170 million in order to get into the database software field. What do you bet the company kills Fox and changes it to Microsoft? So there are obvious signs of softness in Microsoft's strategy. The Economist reported early 1992, Mr. Gates is putting together a range of projects based on common core technology that will compete across virtually the whole of the software industry, from big computers to small ones, and from operating systems in the information engineering room to graphics programs that draw every picture from executives. Nobody in the software industry has yet managed a venture of the complexity, and though IBM has tried and failed. But now you have Google and you have Apple. But when Apple first came out, they actually had Microsoft software inside of the computer. Right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. See, Apple had the prospects uh, in the minds of the prospect. All they saw was Apple, but Apple had Microsoft, um, system inside underneath the facade until one day Apple could afford to do their own system, operating system. And it's the same with the phones. Apple has Samsung making the phones and Saffron technology in the phone, or they had a chip from Samsung, but now Apple has bought a chip company and they've been making their own chips for a while. So now you don't have to buy a new phone so quickly because the chips last longer. Because when Apple didn't own the chip, the new software had this hustle going on where they would advance the chip and then say, "Hey, there's a new chip out. If you don't buy it, we're going to sell to Samsung, or are we going to put it out ourselves? So now they have their own chip manufacturing company. They can put a damper on that. You know what I'm saying? Well, they were wrong about Microsoft, but you got to understand they was yeah, Microsoft is not what we perceive it to be. See, Apple is very visual, right? Let's say Apple is pretty looking, they got stores, and it's very visual. They're making more money off their apps and software and stuff than their computers. And let's say Apple, if you in the Bay Area, you're gonna see a lot of Apple stuff because Apple is nearby. Apple's gonna put their computers in the Guitar Center everywhere you go, right? But if you look worldwide, Microsoft is worldwide. Everything is running off of Microsoft. When you at the airport, when you go to an ATM, when you get gas, and they run the credit card, all of that stuff is Microsoft. If Apple has 70 million computers out there, Microsoft has 345 million computers out there. So if you're a smaller company with only 70 million computers, you're going to have to charge twice as much to make as much money as Microsoft. And if you're as big as Microsoft, you can sell a computer for as cheap as $400 because since you're a bigger company, and you make all your own stuff, you don't have to charge us more. So if you're charging 1/3 less than Apple for a computer, there's more people in the world that knows your name, and there's more people in the world that you can sell to because you have a more affordable price. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. 12, number 12. Let me see. The law of line extension. Yeah. Uh, when you do a line extension, you got to make the right choices. So another example of doing line extensions right or doing line extensions wrong is basically when A1 tried to make salad dressing, that was a big mistake. When Coke tried to come out with these other kind of Cokes, and when Mountain Dew tried to come out with these other types of Mountain Dews, that was a big mistake because they're gonna lose to Seven Up, Sprite, and Squirt. You see what I'm saying? So, but what Microsoft did was they stayed in their lane and expanded because Microsoft is behind Xbox. You see what I'm saying? So, and Microsoft is connected to the government. They're never going to be uh, played out or lose or go out of business. You know, Microsoft kicked IBM's butt and was able to maintain their place, even though Apple got prettier computers, they got real glass on their laptop screens, and but 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 Apple has everything. You cannot use anything that's not part of Apple's structure to plug into their computer. You only can use Apple devices and products with Apple, and with Microsoft, it's more open source, and you can build your own computer. You know what I'm saying? Oh, of course. That's I get what you're saying. What happened to IBM will eventually happen to Microsoft, and if it doesn't, you know why? Because it's connected to Big Brother. You see what I'm saying? Big Brother is going to take care of his children. Microsoft is helping Big Brother uh, get steal everybody's privacy. When Xbox had Xbox Connect, it wasn't for your fun and entertainment. Xbox Connect was so they can have eyes and ears inside your house. Period. Point blank. So, and now they have Alexa and stuff, and people don't even know that Alexa asked Congress to allow them to be on at all times and listen at all times instead of just when it's name called. You know. Well, you're right. And Microsoft could be the exception of the rule, but because of your point, and I concede to your point, but because of your point, it makes me suspicious of Microsoft because they did manage um, to leap over that rule and still be successful. But I think there's room for exceptions to every rule. You see what I'm saying? Look, if they say they're working on something, it's already made. Trust me. And the military using it first. You know, they build stuff for the military and then they try to find a way to commercialize it and bring it to the consumer. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to move on to the next law, number 13, the lucky number 13. The 12th law was long too. It was long. So the law of sacrifice. Now, the law of sacrifice is the opposite of the law of extension. If you want to be successful today, you should give something up. If there are things to sacrifice, product line, target, market, and constant change. If there are things to sacrifice, product line, target market, and constant change. The first product line where it's written that the more you have to sell, the more you sell. The full line is a luxury for a loser. If you want to be successful, you have to reduce your product line, not expand it. Take Emery Air Freight. Emery was in the air freight service business. Anything you wanted to ship, you could ship via Emery. Small packages, large packages, overnight service, delayed service. Um, from the marketing point of view, what did FedEx do? Well, it concentrated on one service, small packages overnight. Today, FedEx is a much bigger company than Emery. Now, the power of sacrifice for FedEx Federal Express was it's being able to put the word overnight in the minds of the prospect. When absolutely positively when it absolutely positively had to be there overnight, you would call FedEx, not Emery. When did FedEx? So what did FedEx do? The company did the same thing Emery did. It threw away its overnight position by buying Tiger International, flying Tiger Cargo Airlines for 880 million. Now Federal Express is a worldwide air cargo company without a worldwide position. In just 21 months, FedEx Federal Express lost 1.1 billion in its international operations. And we're going to move on to the next law because they're just going to give you a bunch of more examples. And I think that example was good enough. Oh wait, in the law 22, there is another example that I do want to touch on. Many retail chains are successful, are successfully patterning themselves on the Toys R Us formula, a narrow focus, in-depth stock. Staples Office Supplies and Blockbuster Videos are two recent examples. In the retail field generally, the big successes are the specialists, the limited, upscale clothing for working women, the Gap, casual clothing for the young at heart, Benetton, wool and cotton clothing for the young swingers, and Victoria's Secret, sexy undergarments and Foot Locker athletic shoes, and Banana Republic safari wear. Now that tells you how long ago this was, because Banana Republic got out of safari wear a long time ago, and they still managed to, to keep going. So when a clothing chain with a name like Banana Republic can be successful, you know we live in the age of the specialists. Let's discuss the second sacrifice. Target market is where it's written that you have to appeal to everybody. You don't have to appeal to everybody. Take the Coca-Cola field. Coca-Cola got into the prospect's mind by by first and built a powerful position in the late 50s. For example, Coke outsold Pepsi more than 5-1. What could Pepsi Cola do to go against Coke's powerful position? Well, in the early 60s, Pepsi Cola finally developed a strategy based on the concept of sacrifice. The company sacrificed everything except teenage market. Then it brilliantly exploited this market by hiring its icon Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, Don Johnson, and within one generation, Pepsi closed the gap. Today, it's only 10% behind Coca-Cola, total U.S. Coca-Cola sales, and in the supermarket, Pepsi Cola actually outsells Coca-Cola. Now, this could be different today, but at the time this book was written, that was the case. Moving on. We'll be at 14, all up attribute. And it shows a picture of Crest, AIM, Ultra Bright, and Close Up. And Crest promotes itself as, oh, thank you. Wow. Uh, yeah. Well, Crest pushes itself as it fights cavities. AIM, it says it tastes good. And Ultra Bright says it whitens teeth. And Close Up says it freshens breath. Well, you know what? My dinner has just been brought to me, so I might have to get to the other laws. What's other laws? It's 8 other laws I have to get to at another time or in a video. But I'll take your suggestion. The suggestion is if I start roasting the bonnet, then it would be about 20 people in here. But yeah, I'll peep your suggestion. Let me know. Well, that question is interesting. Uh, there are pro and cons. I can't get into that right now, but um, it's a chain. It's a chain. When you self-employed and stuff, I do side contract work, but because of the coronavirus, I can't even do that work. I have 2 licenses to do business. One is where I can work for myself, and the other one I have to work under somebody else's company. Um, one license allowed me to lease a space from someone and do business, but if that person cannot pay their lease, then that puts me out of business. And then the other company, I have to work for another company. But if people don't ask for their services, um, and they're not allowed, and because they need people to for their service to be necessary, both of that cancels out. But if you work, the only work now is the medical field, and and like city government. Um, but so right now it doesn't matter if you self-employed or not. But the people that work for companies, at least they can draw on, uh, unemployment, different things. They may have sick time leave, or the company will give them a couple of weeks off. Some people got 2 or 3 weeks off right now. You can do that. I've done my research. I could do another show. We're gonna stop talking about the laws because it's too many to go, and my food is getting cold, and dinner time has trumped the show. I'm sorry, but you can do your polite has a point. You can do your research. If you have a small business, You can get $10,000, but you have to apply for a full loan, right? And then they're going to give you a $10,000 grant up front first. And then if you qualify, you will get a low interest long term loan. But if you don't qualify for the loan because of your credit or whatever, then you get to keep the 10,000 as a grant. So you're gonna have to have some good bookkeeping. You're gonna have to show some 1099s that you paid somebody to mow the lawn or to wash the windows, or you paid somebody to come in and mop, and empty the garbage, and you know, and you're gonna have your business license to operate and all of that stuff. And sure, yeah, you can get $10,000 for free, but it's to encourage you to get a loan. So if they give you the loan, you can get a loan up to $1 million, depending on how much your company does, and if you have people on the payroll and stuff like that. Yeah, but everybody don't qualify for that loan. Everybody don't. Well, how many minority businesses keep their paperwork in order? You know, I know that some people are using digital transfers, like they're using Cash App and you know they're using different. They're using Zelle, they're using PayPal, and different stuff. So that leaves a digital trail, but you got to keep your books in order. Now, someone that's as smart as Polite, he got a team of people that can create books. You see what I'm saying? So you create your books, and but like I said, if you ain't paid someone to mop and clean, take out the garbage, wash the windows, to wash your linen, or to do something for your company, they're not going to see that you need much money at all. Look, you can get the $10,000 grant. I I have a license from the state that says that I do a certain type of business. I have two licenses from the state for two totally different types of businesses. I was working for a company when I first started working for them on the side. I only worked 2 days, and then the corona thing hit. So I'm going to try to still get unemployment for that. But as far as my own business, I don't want to get Big Brother involved with that, because once you slow dance with them, you're going to slow dance with them forever. And they're going to put a hickey on your neck. You know what I'm saying? So my food is getting cold. But I'm glad that you broke the monotony. I don't care about people leaving, because they can always catch the playback, and people leave because they know they can come back and catch the playback. And I'm making the video for once the video is made, it's for people to watch in the future, from here, now, and tomorrow. Um, when I make shows, I have the mind state that this show is for us here in the room, but it's also for people to listen later. And I'm glad that people came through. And I did the Sade remix last night, or this morning. I was up. I appreciate everyone coming through, and I will be back. But right on. I quit my job a few months ago before Corona hit. What can you do? Um, you may still be able to get unemployment. You'll be surprised. Just look up the unemployment thing. .gov, the corona blah 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 .gov. Um, just because you quit your job and stuff. See, one of the main, there's not just the you have the loan, right? But you also have the unemployment. And because you've been a citizen that's able to work, and you have worked before for someone else, and you paid into Social Security, and they deducted taxes from your salary, you still can get unemployment. They will make an exception. I think that's the case. You can still get unemployment. Yeah, as long as you not on disability, and you physically have the ability to work, it's best to apply anyway. Just like, you know, uh, I ain't gonna even go there, but just like religion, even if you don't believe in it, it's best to have one just in case you're wrong. That way you have religious insurance. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, peace and hair grease, y'all. I gotta eat my food, and then I might be back later. But you got 14 out of 22 immutable laws of marketing. I hope that was informative. All right.
Waiting for you.